Hi, everybody. It's Randy Wright. This is The Literate Texan, where we talk about books and literature, highbrow, lowbrow, anything in between. Today, for you, I said in my title and in my thumbnail that this is my biggest book haul ever. That's not just hyperbole. I think this might be the most books I've ever bought at once, except when I own a bookstore. And usually I do what everybody else does when they get a big book haul. They show off all the books that they bought. This one's kind of special. I have an ex-girlfriend. We dated probably about 5 years ago. She was is an English teacher. But she recently moved out of state and didn't want to take all of her books with her. And so she gave me the opportunity to buy some of her collection. And there's some nice volumes in here that I needed. I haven't even counted these yet. So not only am I going to be making this video, but while I'm making the video, I'll be putting together a count too. So anyway, we're going to get started. This is the first one. This is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. And picture on the back there. This is actually in really great condition. And it's funny, I had a friend of mine over the other day, and he had never read Lolita, didn't know anything about it. It just looked like the most literary book on the bookshelves at the thrift store when he went there that day. And so he picked it up, and he started reading it, and he got a little ways into it, and he realized what it was about. He thought, man, maybe I don't need to be reading this in this environment. At any rate, let me see what it says on it. What does the dust jacket on here say? I don't know. There's a yellow Post-it note over it, but let's see what it says here. Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov is the sensational bestseller that took America by storm. It is the sensitive and moving story of the brilliant and cosmopolitan Humbert, who in his early middle age attempts to reincarnate his adolescent love for a beautiful young girl who died of typhus. I don't remember this quite the same as this, but the memory of this early love, Annabelle, haunts Humbert through his teenage and adult years, making it impossible for him to love anyone else. But that mimosa grove, the haze of stars, the tingle, the flame, the honeydew, and the ache remained with me. And that little girl with her seaside limbs and ardent tongue haunted me ever since, until at last, 24 years later, I broke the spell by incarnating her in another. Quite by accident, Humbert finds the almost identical girl/woman in the form of his new landlady's daughter, Dolores, who he calls Lolita. But instead of the innocent Annabelle of his youth, Humbert finds himself face to face with a steamy, pubescent child eagerly emerging into a woman. Okay, so that's quite a, if you know anything about the book, if you've read it, that does not quite capture the flavor or the feel of the book or what it's about at all, really. But, in broad strokes, it is kind of the story. At any rate, the movie is excellent, really funny. Stanley Kubrick film. If you've never seen it, it's got Peter Sellers, James Mason. Shelley Winters is terrific in it. Anyway, I was glad to get a copy of this. This is a fairly old copy, too, to be in such good condition. I think this is the book club edition, but still, it's old enough that it's still, this is definitely a book club edition. I can tell by the, now, it's a little bit smaller. See how the pages are really full of text there? There's almost no margins to speak of. That's usually indicative of a book club edition. But this is the 1982 division, published by Greenwich House. So anyway, I got that. That's book number one. Book number two here is Tess of the D'Urbervilles by Thomas Hardy, which is one of those classics that I've always meant to read. This is a mass market paperback, which are becoming increasingly rare these days. I don't really know anything about Tess of the D'Urbervilles other than I've been interested in reading some Thomas Hardy for quite a while now. And even though this is a mass market paperback, it's in excellent condition. I don't think it's been read. So I don't really love mass market paperbacks anymore. because the print tends to be a little small for me to read, but if I get a really bright light behind me, it's bearable. Okay, so that was number 2. Let's see, number 3. This is the mass market paperback of The Road by Cormac McCarthy, which I've read. I think a lot of people have at this point. Cormac McCarthy died not too long ago. Buddy read a couple of books recently with James at Quaint and Curious Volumes. They were by Nathaniel West, and we had used words like bummer and depressing to describe these books. And at any rate, it's hard to think of any book that I've read recently or maybe even ever that's more depressing and downer or more of a downer than The Road. But it's still a really good book. I carried it in my bookstore, which focused on horror books, but it was a post-apocalyptic thing. So it kind of fit in there. Let's see, what's this? Heart of Darkness and The Secret Sharer by Joseph Conrad. Another mass market paperback, another classic that I've been meaning to read for a while. Heart of Darkness, by the way, was the basis for, Apocalypse Now. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I've seen Apocalypse Now several times, but I've never read Heart of Darkness. What kind of bookworm am I? You'd almost think I was a cinephile instead of a bookworm. And I am a cinephile, too. Let's see, Junk English by Ken Smith. I don't know what this is. Let's see here. Junk English is like junk food. Ingest it long enough and your brain goes soft. I think this is just a bunch of quotes that are poorly written things. I don't know. English teacher humor is what it looks like to me. And I've got The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. I may read this month. This month is Shorty September. And that means we're reading short books all month long, 30 books in 30 days. So they have to basically be, for someone like me who reads fairly slowly, I read about 200 words per minute. That means we're looking at books that are under 200 pages. I'll try not to get too much lower than 100 pages, between 80 and 200 pages, let's say. But The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is on that list of short books. The Road is not on that list. Yeah, none of these other ones are so far. Are they? Heart of Darkness. Heart of Darkness is definitely one. And then Heart of Darkness and Jekyll and Hyde both would qualify as shorties. And I'm probably going to read both of those this month. Let's see, this is by A.S. Byatt. This is The Little Black Book of Stories by A.S. Byatt. This is pretty nice. This is a hardcover. It's in good shape. Let's see here. How many pages is this? Well, it looks like... it's a little too long. It's about 250 pages. There's no way I could finish this in an afternoon. It'd just take too long for me nowadays. When I was younger, I read faster. But anyway, I'll look forward to reading it, just not tonight. Here's one by Fyodor Dostoyevsky, Notes from the Underground. Okay, so this one's a good one for Shorty September, too. I'm going to make a video soon, very, very soon, where I'm going to do my to be read for Shorty September, which is long overdue since it's already 6 months. Well, it's not almost over, but 20% of the month is over. So I need to get to that. I'll probably post that tomorrow. See, this one is called Endurance, Shackleton's Incredible Voyage by Alfred Lansing. Not sure what this is about or why I got this. One of the most gripping, suspenseful, intense stories anyone will ever read. That's the Chicago Tribune there. So, well, now I know why I got it, because it's very gripping. Ooh, wow. That is some small print on there, too. I don't know if I'm going to get to that. Definitely not for Shorty September, though. It's too long. Let's see here. This one is Let the Great World Spin by Colum McCann. This was a National Book Award winner. This copy's a little beat up. I think my girlfriend might have actually read this one before she sold it to me. She gave me actually a pretty good deal on these. In the past, whenever I've tried to do business with her before, I've tried to buy bookshelves from her. I've tried to buy books from her before. She always wanted to get top dollar for everything. But this time she really couldn't afford to move all her stuff, and she actually gave me a decent price on all these. And this is just the beginning of the stack. That's only 6 books so far. No, that's 7. Okay, this one is number 8. I've got a book card over here that I'm pulling these off of. This is Kafka, The Trial. I've read this before. I might read it again. This one might qualify for Shorty September. I don't know. That print's pretty small on there. The Trial. I don't know. You know, I've kind of grown disenchanted with Kafka, and I'll tell you why. Okay? The world has grown increasingly Kafka-esque as I've gotten older. And I think it's great that Kafka was such a great writer and captured a feeling so well that his name became an adjective to describe it. But it's not a very pleasant adjective. A Kafkaesque society is not a very pleasant society to be living in. And, you know, I've got numerous examples of Kafkaesque experiences in my own life, but I'm sure you do too. And I won't bore you with them because that's one of the problems. It's one of the defining characteristics of a Kafkaesque experience is not only is it bizarre, but it's also really boring. Almost always. So I apologize for drinking on camera. I'm on some medications that make my mouth really dry. So hydration is important to me. This is a beautiful edition of Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell, who is related to the girlfriend of mine that sold me this. I believe it's one of her aunts. But it's not like a first edition or anything, which doesn't matter to me anyway. I am not really a book collector anymore. I'm a reader, and I do have a collection of sorts, but I'm not a collector who's looking for first editions or autographs or, you know, the books on my shelves are meant to be picked up and read. All of them. So that's what we've got here. Okay, now this is cool. This is Women by Charles Bukowski. This was actually, you know, I'm not a huge Charles Bukowski fan, but I do like Charles Bukowski. And this one, it's kind of an interesting book because it's a novel, but all of his novels are semi-autobiographical. And this particular novel is just chapter after chapter of him discussing various ex-girlfriends and ex-wives. So I read it when I was younger and thought it was pretty entertaining. I'm looking forward to reading it again. He's got a kind of an ironic but sleazeball sense of humor. He's not for everybody. I tend to prefer his poetry to his fiction, but you know, he's all right. I think he's a little overrated by certain bro-tubers or certain, I don't know. There's a little more machismo in there than I'm comfortable with. So what is this? I've got it upside down. No wonder I couldn't tell what it was. This is what I was looking at, and I was like, what is this? Well, that's because it's Texas, a novel by James Michener. Don't know anything about it except that it's long, which, you know, for a novel about a state as big as Texas, it should be long, right? It should be a really epic tale. We're going to find out. But not during Shorty September, we're not, because we're not reading long books during Shorty September. We're reading short books. Joyce Carol Oates wrote a book called We Were the Mulvaneys, which I was supposed to buddy read with my sister, but for a change, it was me that dropped the ball on this one. I set up this buddy read with her, and then I nagged her about where she was at with the book for about 6 months, and I hadn't even bought my own copy of it yet. So anyway, sorry about that, Sam. Sam's my sister. I don't know if we're going to get to that one or not. We've already moved on to something else. I think we're going to read Goodbye, Mr. Chips next, which is a shorty. Okay, so Steinbeck, novels from 1942 to 1952. The Moon is Down, Cannery Row, The Pearl, and East of Eden. And this one's got several little bookmarks in it too, over here off to the side. You can see, this is a Library of America edition. I'm a big fan of Steinbeck. You don't have to watch the channel too much to realize how much I like Steinbeck. Most recently, I did a buddy read of Travels with Charlie by John Steinbeck, which I read for Summer of Steinbeck, which is an event. But I read this with Robin Song Reads. I'm writing that down. I want to put everything in the notes down in the bottom, so I'm making notes as I go, which is kind of the opposite of how I usually make videos. Normally when I make a video, I take the notes before I make the video and then read them to you. But yeah, I want to make sure that I get Robin down in the comments and stuff, because I really want to encourage you not only to subscribe to Robin Songs Reads, but also to subscribe to James at Quaint and Curious Volumes, because their channels are excellent and they have really cool things to say about really cool books. Both of them, I've never seen a video from either one of them that hasn't made me laugh out loud. in multiple places. So that's kind of cool too. I've heard that I'm funny. I don't really think so. I don't see it. I've heard I have a dry sense of humor. Again, I don't really see it, but I do know that I don't laugh at a lot of YouTubers' videos, but I do laugh at theirs. But I mean in a good way. I laugh at them in a good way. This is All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy. And this was a National Book Award winner. It's got the sticker to prove it. So I've never read this one. I hear it's good. So, you know, I hear it's good because it won the National Book Award. Anytime you see a National Book Award sticker on a book, you can safely say, if you haven't read it, and if you haven't heard anything about it, but you can see the sticker, you can always say, well, I heard it was good. You know, it did win an award. So you're not lying when you say that you heard it was good, right? What else we got here? Oh, The Body Artist by Delillo. Okay, so this one's definitely short enough for Shorty September. This isn't even, this is 126 pages. I don't know anything about it, but I know it's really short. It's perfect for Shorty September. So, The Body Artist. So far, I've shown you 13 books. Stay till the end, though, because there's a couple of surprises down here that you're going to want to see. That was number 15, by the way. I think I might have said it was number 13, but it's actually number 15. And then this one is number 16, The Little Friend by Donna Tartt. Donna Tartt is an author that I like. Donna Tartt wrote, The Goldfinch, which I thought was a really great book. What a great novel. I really enjoyed it. Liked the movie, too, a lot. So I don't know anything about The Little Friend other than I like that artist's other book. So chances are I will like this one too. I hope so anyway. What's next? Number 17. Okay, I'm excited about this. This is a first edition of the Satanic Verses, but it's in such poor condition I can't imagine that it's holding any value. I'm gonna take that sticker off there, in fact. I can tell it's a first edition without that sticker anyway. Yeah, so definitely not appropriate for Shorty September. I don't know what the Satanic Verses is about, but it sure did piss off some people in the Muslim community. And I think the author, Salman Rushdie, was the victim of a fatwa or some type of order from some branch of the church there to be killed. So he's been in hiding for years, but I think they actually found him and injured him. I think he might have lost an eye or something. I don't know that much about it. I should learn more about that. That would be something interesting to make a video about. Oh, cool. This is Nightmare Alley by, it's got the intro by Nick Tosches, but the book is by Gresham. What's his first name? I can't read. Charles Gresham, I believe. He's Joy Gresham's ex-husband before she married C.S. Lewis. But anyway, Nightmare Alley was made into a movie not too long ago. And it was really, really good movie. And the book was really good too. And I read Nightmare Alley as a double feature with Geek Love because they both have these carnival settings. But Nightmare Alley, this might be my copy of Nightmare Alley that I bought back from her. I might have left this over there. Because even though we dated 5 years ago, we have seen each other here and there off and on over the years. And we did occasionally loan books to each other. But yeah, this one has a now major motion picture thing right on the front of it. So it's a fairly new edition. I'm not 100% sure that I didn't just buy that back from her, though, because I have a copy of it here. Oh, speaking of which, okay, here's a copy of Everything Matters. Now, I know this one I'm not buying back from her because this was a gift I gave her. So I guess I am buying it back from her. She absolutely refused to read this. And it's funny because there was some book. This is my favorite novel, by the way, Everything Matters by Ron Currie Jr. And I've mentioned it on this channel multiple times before. If you haven't read it yet, you should. It's terrific. I'm sure I've made a video about it somewhere. But yeah, definitely check that one out if you haven't. She was mad at me because she gave me a copy of Blindness. I don't remember the author's name, but they made it into a movie. And I wouldn't read Blindness. I did read the first 50 or 100 pages, but it's tough going. I mean, it's pretty hard to read. It's just really dense. It's good, but it's dense. And since she couldn't even remember the name of the book that I gave her to read, I wasn't going to read the book that she gave me to read. Although I probably will go back and read Blindness at some point. I just don't have my copy anymore. I don't know what I did with it. Here's Jailbird by Kurt Vonnegut. I've read everything by Kurt Vonnegut, including Jailbird, but I'll probably read this one again. It's been a while since I've read Vonnegut. The funny thing about Kurt Vonnegut is the book that everybody always recommends for Vonnegut, if you read nothing else by Kurt Vonnegut, they suggest that you read Slaughterhouse-Five. And Slaughterhouse-Five, man, it's okay, you know? I mean, it's a good book. But man, Cat's Cradle is so much better. And that was my first Kurt Vonnegut book. And yeah, if you're going to choose one Vonnegut book to read Cat's Cradle. And if you like it, then move on to Slaughterhouse-Five. But don't read Slaughterhouse-Five if you haven't checked out Cat's Cradle first, because Cat's Cradle is a really great book. You might find people with a different opinion. You might even have a different opinion. If you do, feel free to mention it in the comments. This is Grendel by John Gardner. This is a retelling of Beowulf from the perspective of the monster. Man, I've been hearing about this for decades, about how good it is, and I've never read it yet. I'm surprised she had a copy of it, because it was, I don't know if I want to call it a phenomenon, more of, it was a craze, it was a fad for a while to really be into that book, but that moment has come and gone a long time ago. Ada by Vladimir Nabokov. Ada? I don't know. This one doesn't have a dust jacket on it, and I don't know what it's about, but boy, this is not, yeah, this is a thick book right here. This is definitely not a candidate for Shorty September, but that's Ada by Nabokov. Have not checked into it. Don't have anything interesting or intelligent to say about it other than Nabokov's a good writer. Worth checking out. Okay, this one is another Don DeLillo book. This one is called Underworld. Okay? At some point, this was recommended to me by somebody that I respected. Don't remember who, but it was a strong enough recommendation that I bought a copy of it when I got the chance. We're getting down to the end here. Yeah, it's a big book haul, and this literally filled my book cart, which was this was a birthday present to me from my sister this year. It's what I asked for, because it makes moving books from place to place a lot easier. So what else we got here? Okay, there's this Philip K. Dick book here called Ubik. I've read this one before. I don't really remember it. I was drinking when I read this one. And so there's several books that I read during my drinking career I don't really remember very well anymore. And Ubik is one of them. But it's also, from what I understand, one of the important Philip K. Dick books, or one of the ones that's very representative of Philip K. Dick. So anyway, yeah, Ubik, that's a cool one. Not short enough for Shorty September, but, you know, I like Philip K. Dick well enough that I sort of have a long-term project of reading all his books, but there's no urgency involved in that project. It's not like I'm going to do this over the course of the next 12 months or anything. It just hasn't earned project status yet. Okay, this one is Vanity Fair by William Makepeace Thackeray. Again, that's another one of these classics that everybody's supposed to have read. I haven't read it. Don't really know much about it other than it's, you know, one of those canonical books that I ought to have read. So I'm going to give it a shot. You know, those usually turn out pretty good for me. This one is called, let's see, this is two novellas by A.S. Byatt. Angels and Insects. So I suppose one of the novellas is called Angels and the other one's called Insects. And there is, oh, I'll have to make sure she gets that back. This is a picture of my ex-girlfriend with some boyfriend, apparently. Making out at a bar. Yeah, she'll definitely want to get that back. That's pretty funny, but yeah, I'll have to text her about that when I finish making this video. Angels and Insects by A.S. Byatt. I'm not a jealous guy, and that fire burned out a long time ago anyway. So here's The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. That's another, you know, believe it or not, I've mentioned this in videos before, but you may not have seen all my videos. But I have mentioned this in several videos before, but I've never read anything by Faulkner at all. I've read quite a bit of Hemingway, but nothing by Faulkner. Jesus' Son by Dennis Johnson. This was a shorty. Yeah, this was definitely a shorty. I don't know if it's good or not. It's an interesting title. Okay, so that's number 28. Are we going to make it to 30? Nope. We made it to 29 books in this book haul. It's 29 books. Middlesex by Jeffrey Eugenides, winner of the Pulitzer Prize. Haven't read it. Don't know anything about it. I do love the author's name, although I may be mispronouncing Eugenides. Please let me know in the comments if I am. That's why I wanted you to watch the end so that you could correct my pronunciation. Anyway, that is the biggest book haul ever from Randy Ray here at the Literate Texan. I've got more videos coming soon, so stay tuned for those. And until next time, I want you to do two things for me. Number one, stay sexy, folks. I know you're good at it already, but keep it up. And number two, stay hydrated. It's so important to your health, and it's much more important than you probably think. I'll see you in the next video, guys.